Hi you guys, welcome back to another video on my channel. So today's video is one that I mentioned I would like to film for you guys and I asked you about in my video from last week, which was 1 year later from moving out of LA and moving to Boise. And that video idea, if you didn't see that video, is basically how to move out on your own, specifically for the first time if you're moving out of home, and how to be financially independent, you know, doing that, because you really have to be financially independent for the most part when you are living on your own. So this is also the start of a new series that I have been wanting to do for a while on my channel, and I thought of the name the other day, and this name is not that original, but I did like it. So if other people already have this series name, they probably do. But the series name is basically Girlboss Guide. And this series is going to be sharing with you guys financial tips, business tips, and just how to be the best, obviously, girl boss and in charge of your own life in every facet that you can be. We are starting with this video topic, which I wrote down like shit's falling out of my notebook. I wrote down literally 3 freaking pages of tips for you guys on this topic yesterday, because I just want to help you guys out, and I really thought about this video. So let's stop talking, let's go ahead and just get into this. First thing that I really want you guys to know is please don't ever be ashamed or embarrassed by living at home or living with your parents or your grandparents or whoever it is that may or may not be supporting you. I, for like 6 months last year, had to move back home to get my life in order, save up some money for where I was gonna move next, and don't ever be like ashamed or embarrassed by living at home and not supporting yourself, because this is such a process and everybody moves out at different ages, and it doesn't really matter how long it takes for you. It's just your personal journey. But with that being said, you probably clicked on this video because you do want to move out. First thing that you're gonna need to do is you're gonna need to create essentially like a moving out plan for yourself. I recommend doing this in something like Google Drive. You can go to google.drive.com. You guys probably all know what I'm talking about, but if you haven't used it, that's kind of the platform that I would use for something like this, and that is where I store my personal like budget and all of these sorts of things. That's where I store all my documents. So you're gonna start a Word document basically that is gonna be your moving plan, and this is where you're going to research and write down and store everything, the goals for your move basically. And I think doing this is so essential because writing it down, and so you can actually see this every day or however often you look at it, is going to hold you accountable for examples, things that you can write on your moving plan. I would start out with the ideal time frame that you would like to move out. Now, keep this realistic. It's probably not gonna end up being like 2 months from now. Your end move out date might not be for a year or 2 years or something like that, because you're gonna have to save up a lot of money before you move out. You're also going to want to research rent prices, and you can write down, you know, the rent prices for your city that you want to live in on this Word document, and also the budget for pre and post move, because you are going to have money before you move out, and you're going to have money saved up for when you actually move. So all these things will be on your moving plan Word document. Also, you can make it kind of like a manifestation thing where you post pictures of your ideal apartment or house, or inspiration photos of what you want your place to look like and feel like and be like. And you can just make this document so creative, anything you want, kind of like a vision board slash, like I said, a plan of the dates and all of the things for your ideal moving. Now, next thing you're gonna wanna do, this might sound silly to some of you guys, but please trust me, it's actually so helpful and important to do this. So you are going to want to write down in detail, I recommend even handwriting this out. You're gonna wanna write out in detail what your future home, apartment, whatever it is, what it looks like, what it feels like to live there. And you're basically gonna wanna write this down in the present as if you already live there. So to give you guys an example of this, I'm gonna read you from my personal notebook. Okay, I made this note on July 24th of last year. when I was living at home and I was doing some manifesting. So this is what mine says. It's pretty simple and to the point. It says, I have a cute and beautiful space. Ideally, I live in a house, but it feels like home. My space is bright, filled with plants, productivity, squirtle, positive energy, and it is exactly what I need. It is affordable, and I live close to nature and beauty, but also businesses, which essentially means I wanted to live like somewhere that had nature, but also like city close by. I don't know about you guys, but I'm pretty sure that the house I live in right now meets literally all of these things that I wrote down. And I would look at that so often. The most important thing you can do once you write this down is to rip it out of your notebook and paste it on a mirror, a wall, somewhere in your bedroom, maybe like even your nightstand, somewhere right next to your bed where you're gonna see it multiple times a day. And when you see it, you're gonna read it out loud and you're gonna put that energy into the world, okay? And don't feel silly reading it out loud. I mean, if you really want to read it in your head, you can read it in your head, but I recommend reading it out loud to yourself every single time you see it. But more than just reading it, you're going to want to feel as if you already live in your own place. This is so powerful, and if you know anything about the law of attraction and manifesting things, this is something that you can do for literally everything in your life, whether it's attracting a partner, whether it's attracting more money, whether it's attracting a new job. If you write down and feel the feelings that you already have it and you look at it and read it out loud to the universe all the time, that is putting the energy out there that you are going to be attracting it. Now, I'm not gonna say this is magic and just doing that step alone is gonna attract you to your future home, because it's not. With anything manifestation and law of attraction, you actually have to put in the work. You're gonna have to save money. You're gonna have to work to save that money, girl. But this is going to be an extra step that's putting out the energy of what you desire. All right, now let's talk about the nitty gritty. You're watching this video right now. The best thing and the most important thing that you can do right now is to start a budget and saving plan for your moving out today. Put away, I don't care if it's $5, I don't care if it's $1, start a savings account today for your future move out, because you are going to need more money than you think to move out on your own. Trust me. This is not a joke. Don't procrastinate this. Don't put this off. If you are working and you are making money, you can afford to put a little bit, or hopefully more than a little bit, aside every month, every other month for your future moving costs. Now, you guys know personally, if you've watched some of my videos and heard me talk about this before, my personal favorite saving money app that is so easy, and it's not, you don't have to create a separate savings account, okay? So you don't need a separate savings account for this, is the app Acorns. I'm not sponsored by Acorns. They literally do not know who I am. I talk about their app all the time because it is the best, quickest, easiest money saving app that I've ever found. Basically, you put in a little bit of money. There's no requirement. You can start with like, I'm pretty sure you can start with like $5 in your account. If you connect your different, you know, debit card, your credit card, whatever it is you use for money, if you connect those to your Acorns account, it's gonna do this thing called roundups, where basically it rounds up your spare change from your purchases and invests it into your savings account. So it's basically brainless investing, because if you spend $4.50 on whatever it is, a latte, basically Acorns is going to, whoa, the lighting is changing so much right now. It's getting really bright out there. Acorns is gonna invest that extra 50 cents, round your purchase up to look like you spent $5, but it's gonna take that 50 cents and put it automatically into your Acorns savings account, and gradually, you're gonna be slowly growing money into your account. You can also choose to make a one-time investment, or a weekly investment, or a monthly investment. It's completely up to you. They don't require you to put in anything. It's totally up to you. The app is free to download, and it is so easy. I've been using it for like 2.5 years, and I freaking love it. Like an extra 20 cents or 50 cents here and there, that is gonna go towards your future moving out like savings, essentially. So If you guys haven't, I highly recommend starting to invest on Acorns. You can withdraw your money from your account at any time, and they sell your shares essentially, because it's an investing app. So you're gradually going to be making more money and more money as you keep money in the account. The more you have in your account, the more chance your money has to grow. So obviously having more money as opposed to less money in your account is better, and your money is going to grow over the months that you keep it in there, which is amazing. So don't take it out unless you really need to. If you guys haven't used Acorns, I will have a link in the description box where you can start investing. And if you start investing in the month of November, so this month, Acorns will invest $5 in your account to start off. Like I said, your money is gonna start growing, and it is honestly incredible. Go check it out. First thing I would suggest doing, so you know how much money you kind of need to be saving for your ideal lifestyle at the end of this, is you're gonna want to research rent prices in the city that you are planning to move to. So be as specific as you can. If you have a neighborhood that you're trying to live in, a part of the city, you're gonna want to look right there and see how much the rent prices are, because they can really differ by areas of the city. So my favorite website to use for doing this, I go on this website all the time, even like having my house right now, I always go on it just to compare apartments and houses and rent prices, is HotPads. That is my favorite, but you can also use something like Zillow. Zillow is really fun if you haven't used it. HotPads and Zillow are pretty similar. And you can also use something like Craigslist, because there's a lot of apartments on Craigslist and things like that as well. While you're researching these rent prices, you're gonna also want to figure out if you're gonna wanna live with a roommate or 2 roommates or 3 roommates, or live by yourself. Now, the only way that you can figure out if you can afford to live by yourself or if you need to have roommates is by researching the rent prices, seeing how much it's gonna cost you per month on average to live in the city that you're planning on moving to. And then if it's just really fucking expensive, you're probably gonna be like, okay, I need to either have 1 roommate, 2 roommates, and you guys will split the cost of that rent based off of how many people there are that you're gonna be living with. So I would say if you know that you're gonna definitely be living with roommates in the future, kind of try and know who those people are. So pick a rent price that you can afford personally for yourself every month, that you know realistically, I can pay this much money for rent, and don't make it all of your income. That's a horrible idea, because you're gonna need money for other things besides rent. So you need to pick a budget and just say, I'm not gonna go over this for the place that I want to live. Like, this is how much I can afford for rent, and then I need to have this much money for other things. You're probably, hopefully, going to be working and have a job to save up for moving out, because honey, if you're just sitting at home all day and not making any money, you are not going to be able to move out of your house, because you need money to do so, unless your parents are paying for your rent or something like that. But even if your parents are paying for your rent, if you're like in school or something, or your parents just want to do that for you, you're still gonna need money if you're living on your own for other things besides rent. I'm just saying. So if you need more money than just your job is giving you, I suggest finding some sort of a side hustle, such as selling your clothing on Depop or Poshmark or eBay or whatever platform you use. There's so many. Finding house sitting, dog sitting, pet sitting jobs in your area, dog walking, any of these types of things. What's another one? Like freelancing, if you're a freelance photographer or editor or whatever you might know how to do on the side, I suggest trying to do some sort of a side hustle that is going to create extra income for you. Well, as you guys know, my little side hustle business is my Depop shop, where I sell clothing and shoes and accessories and sometimes beauty products. I do have a whole video coming up sometime in the future on how to create a successful Depop shop, because I have gotten that question many times from you guys, because I talk about it so much. So that video will be coming. It actually might be in the it probably will be in the Girlboss guide series, just kind of like how to have a successful side hustle. But I encourage you guys to have an extra source of income if your job is not really giving you enough money that you need. All right, I've got a little pro tip for you guys as well. If you are living at home and you really want to know what it's going to be like to live out on your own and some of the costs that you're gonna have to make, and you really wanna know what it's gonna be like to pay a rent every single month as opposed to not. So get one of your parents involved, or whoever you live with, someone that you live with that is responsible and that can hold you accountable. And you're gonna want to start paying them rent every month. Essentially, you're gonna want to pay them the rent that you would be paying when you move out, okay? And this is why you're gonna want to do this. Not only is it gonna actually show you what it's like to have that financial situation of this is how much money I'm giving out every month for rent. You're gonna give that money to them every month, essentially transfer it to them, Venmo it to them, whatever, and it is going to be saved. That's why I said choose someone trustworthy like a parent. All that money is gonna get saved, and then by the time that you move out, hopefully you will have paid them enough months for rent that it is gonna add up to a pretty large amount, and they can give you that money to move when you move out. I think that's a pretty good idea if you're gonna hold yourself accountable for that. Save more money than you even think that you need, because you never know how many costs there are going to be until you actually move. So there's gonna be so many more costs than just your month-to-month rent. There's probably gonna be a security deposit for moving into a new place. Now, I've personally in the past paid like $500 security deposits. I think I might have had to pay an $1,000 security deposit at some point. You can have an expensive ass security deposit. There is certain places that might require 2 months rent just to move in. There's certain places that might require 3 months rent just to move in and get the keys. I'm just giving you all the kind of things to be aware of where you might, you know, be forking out more money to move into a place initially, and then, you know, obviously once you pay those months rent, you're good. You don't have to pay them again, but you might have to pay a pretty large you are probably gonna have to pay a pretty large chunk of money for when you first move in, besides just your first month's rent. So please keep that in mind, but don't get discouraged by that. Just know it's gonna be great, and it's gonna only be helpful for you to have as much money saved as possible before you move. So don't feel like you have to rush it. Something that I personally do that I actually just started doing this year, and it has been so helpful to my life and my finances for keeping everything in order, is creating a detailed monthly budget for myself, my income, my expenses every month, when my bills are due. This is an adulting tip that you can use for moving or literally just living. Like, I recommend starting to do this today, ladies. You can make this a separate document from your moving plan if you want to, or it can be on the same document, but essentially a detailed monthly budget where you are like writing down. I'm not saying that you have to write down every penny that you spend. I do not do that. So this is my monthly expenses breakdown. I'm not going to read you guys the prices just because it's not necessary, but this is just me personally. But these are the things that I need to account for every single month for my life, and they're going to be different for you guys, but I'll read you mine so you can have an example. First thing, my biggest cost is rent. My next thing is my power bill. My next thing is dog food, and then I have 2 credit cards that I pay every month. So those are on there, and then I have a groceries and alcohol tab. You can maybe just do food or like alcohol and going out, but I combine them on mine, and I give myself an amount for that. And then I also have like Depop supplies / shipping costs. That's just for my side hustle, like I said. Lastly, I have nails, because I pretty much get my nails done once a month, and that is something that I do every single month for myself and never really skip out on. So I add up all those expenses basically to a certain amount. That certain amount that I add everything up to is my minimum monthly income. You need to know what those costs are. You need to know what you're spending money on every month, and that is only going to help you to create a budget for yourself before and after you move out on your own. This is so essential. I wish I did this years ago, because I probably would have held myself a lot more accountable for certain expenses. Now, I know I'm talking about so much like money that you're gonna have to save and how long it might take and these things, and I hope I'm not sounding discouraging, because I really want you guys to know that you can do this no matter how long it takes you. It might take you a while, it might not take you that long. Everybody's income is different, and the places that people want to move to, just different amounts of money, you know what I mean? So please just do not get discouraged. You absolutely can do this and can make it happen, and I swear it is going to be so worth it. I think living on your own or with some amazing roommates is like some of the best memories that you can make in life. So I encourage you guys so much to stay confident and positive. And like I said, no matter how long it takes for you personally, like, you can make this happen, and you will make it happen. All right, so those are kind of all my main tips for before you move out, how to start saving for that. And now I want to talk about actual moving time. So like, you've got hella money saved, you're ready to start looking at places, touring places, and you're ready to start essentially packing up and moving. Because I've got a lot of tips for this too, okay? I've moved many times. Once again, you're gonna wanna look on places like Hotpads, Zillow, Craigslist. There is so many, you know, rent websites, but like I said, Hotpads is my personal fave, very reliable. That is where I usually look at apartments or houses when I'm searching for a new place to move into. So you're gonna wanna look at places and make sure you're staying within your rent budget, like I said. And then once you find places that you are interested in, that you're like, oh shit, I would wanna tour this place, it's cute, or I like it, then you're gonna want to, you know, contact those people. I recommend actually sending a physical email or making a phone call, as opposed to going through, for example, the Hotpads or the Zillow system for contacting landlord or realtor, whoever's ever on the other end of that. I recommend, it'll give you their contact information, and I think calling is actually the best, because you're gonna just start to form a relationship with this person, and they're gonna start to know you. They're gonna know your voice or something like that. So I recommend either a phone call or an email, at least when you're starting to say, hey, I'm really interested in this place, can I set up a tour with you? So you wanna set up tours of every single place. I really don't recommend moving somewhere only seeing pictures of the place. I will say, one time when I was moving to an apartment with my sister in LA, we had a friend go and tour the building for us, send us videos, send us pictures, because we were living in Georgia at the time, and we knew, you know, we need to have our place secured. We didn't have a trip to LA planned out yet, so we were across the whole country. So if that's the case and you can't really go and tour, please like try and get someone, anyone that you might know in that city. Hopefully you know at least one person in that city that can tour and meet with this person for you and send you photos and videos. But over anything, I say you've got to see it in person for yourself before you move in. Even if you have to fly to make the trip to tour a bunch of places at once, it's super important, because some places sometimes look so different once you actually get in them, and people take the most flattering pictures of places when they list them on somewhere like Hotpads or Zillow, and you want to get in there and see the nitty-gritty. Or maybe it does look fucking amazing in person, and the only way you'll know if you want to move there is by seeing it in person, honestly. So I suggest touring many places, comparing the different rent costs, the pros and cons of each area, each place, and make sure you are inquiring, whether you're emailing with this person or talking to them in person, make sure you inquire about all the costs. So you're gonna wanna ask, if you have a pet, you need to ask, is there a monthly pet fee, or even are pets allowed at this place? Because there's certain places that do not allow pets. So if you are moving with a pet, you gotta know that information even before touring the place. You're also going to want to know, what is the security deposit, and what do you require, what costs do you require pre-move-in, so they can tell you the exact amounts that you are going to need to pay for that place. You don't want to be left in the dark about these things. If you're going to have a roommate or a couple of roommates, try and get them to tour the places with you, or communicate with them what these costs are. Just keep everybody in the loop so there's no big surprises come move-in time. Right, so now if you're moving short distance, like if you're moving out of your parents' house or you're moving out of home, just, you know, a couple hours or 30 minutes or something like that away, like a short distance move, I would say is probably a couple hours drive or less. A long distance move is going to be if you're moving across the state, across the country. For short distance moves, I really highly recommend not hiring movers and just getting your family and friends and yourself and hopefully a car or a truck, some sort of a large, just depending on how much stuff you have. You honestly might not have that much stuff. If you're just moving out of home for the first time, you're probably not gonna like bring hella furniture with you. It just depends on what you want to bring, but I recommend not hiring movers and just doing that with your family and friends to save costs. Basically, don't hire professional movers unless you absolutely have to. So for me and most of my moves in LA, and then once I moved here, I had a bunch of furniture and large items that there was no way I could lift and move those things by myself, so I needed to hire movers. Now you can do this in so many different ways. I recommend just like comparing the costs online, but the best thing that I found to use was the website movingplace.com, which is what I used for my move. And if you just go to their website, I'll have a link down below. It will explain to you. It's basically lower cost professional movers for long distance moves. So research them. They're a pretty great company. They were really, really good to me, and all of my stuff made it safely all the way from Los Angeles to Boise, Idaho, which is like, I think my stuff traveled about like 13 or 14 hours. Which was a pretty long way, and I did not have to drive any of it myself. Also, you can pack everything up yourself and do like a U-Haul or rent a truck or a van if that's something that you're into. I don't have any experience with that because it was actually cheaper for me to hire the moving help like I just talked to you about than drive my stuff myself, but it's just gonna depend on how much stuff you have, essentially. All right, I know this video has gotten long, so we're gonna kind of finish up. I just got a couple last tips for you guys. Don't spend money unnecessarily on things when you're moving. In the case of, you do not need to go out and buy boxes. I recommend saving big boxes that you might have around the house. You can also like go into places like grocery stores, and there's probably tons of other places, like any place that you can think of, even maybe furniture stores that would have big boxes. You can go in and ask them if they have some boxes that you can take, that you can essentially use, that they would just be throwing away or recycling. You can also a lot of times find free moving boxes on Craigslist. I've done that before. You can use suitcases, just use like anything. If you have like a friend with a truck, load all your shit in there and try and, you know, take that truck. Like, it just basically get all the help you can without having to buy these extra things, because moving is already so expensive, like I said, and you don't want to be spending all your money on the cost just to move out. Oh, also a really big tip that I've discovered is pack a box that is just your first few days essentials, the things that you're gonna need for when you first move into a completely empty house that is not gonna have normal things set up yet. Like, you're not gonna have soap and toilet paper and simple cleaning supplies. Put all of that stuff, literally everything you can think of that would be essential to you for like a 5 or 4 day period, however long it's gonna take you to start unpacking your boxes. Put that all in one box together, and that is like your essential, that's like your moving out essentials. This is so important because seriously, if you just pack everything away in huge boxes, and especially if you have a lot of stuff, once you move, you're not gonna wanna go up through everything and find like all of your little things, like digging through boxes. You're gonna forget where you put things. Just pack this essential moving box and you're gonna be like so happy that you did that. Move with plenty of money in your savings, because once you actually move out, girl, there is hella costs. And I know I just keep talking about how much money it's gonna be, but maybe this is just me personally. But like, you know, sometimes you gotta go to Target and get all your cleaning essentials, or you gotta do a really big Amazon order and you gotta order like toilet paper or maybe paper towels or cleaning supplies, all these things that you essentially need, like a trash can, all these things that you need when you move out on your own. There is a lot more than you might think. So make sure you have extra money to buy these things once you move out, and make sure you're not moving out before you have money in savings after you move. You know what I mean? Just make sure that you're good with all that. you don't want to be stressing out about it after you move. Like, fuck, I moved and like now I don't have any money left. What am I gonna do? That is not gonna be a good feeling. So just be prepared. And the last tip that I have for you guys is after you move, after you're living your best life in your new place, keep your monthly budget, keep up with that. When you live on your own, there's a lot of cost for things every month. So keep up with your monthly budget, make sure you're making enough money every month to support yourself. And you know, don't be afraid to ask for help if you need it from whoever it is. But you know, essentially you don't really even want to have to ask for help when you're living on your own. Hold yourself accountable for sticking to your monthly budget. That is pretty much the end of all of my long ass 3 pages of tips for you guys. The lighting in this video was absolutely horrendous. Like, I don't know what these shadows are right now, but this was not happening when I first started filming, and I really don't like it. That is this video. It was damn long, so if you guys happen to make it to the end, let me know by giving it a thumbs up and leaving me a comment down below telling me like any more tips that you might have for moving, because this was primarily focused on the financial part of moving out, obviously, and how to like be independent. But everybody's experience is gonna be different. I just really encourage you guys, like I said, no matter how long it takes you to save up, no matter how long it takes, I encourage you guys, if you do want to move out of home, to just start making it happen today. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed the first episode of the Girl Boss Guide. If you have some ideas that you want to see in this series, please let me know them in the comments below. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope this was helpful, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.
Let me ask you